Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 9th of March, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at currencies as always, then stock markets, commodities, and last of all, just some US tech, which is driving a lot of the US market forward at the moment. So, dollar is still just holding its strength. Not much change today, but we are above the cloud on all three charts. This short-term point and figure chart shows us the targets. We've got targets of between 1.5% and 2% upside. So, and then this one of 2.5% upside. So, it does look like the dollar will continue to make new highs, and we've got some very, very big targets, as much as 55% there. So, really looks like a very strong year ahead for the dollar. Euro is below the cloud. We are just recovering a little bit this morning, but we are below the cloud. We do have these downside targets. Conversely to the dollar, and the longer term charts still look pretty bearish. So, of course, any new lows in the euro are going to knock out these upside targets. So that's quite key as well. Looking at the yen, we see here the dollar is strengthening here as well now, so we're seeing that strength kicking in. And again, if we make a new high above the level that we saw in at the end of the year, that activates this new upside target of 40% as well. So really very significant moves there. Sterling teetering along the bottom at 121.50 at the moment, and it's just all downside as far as we can see right now. So we're below the cloud on all three charts. Sterling is a clearly bearish situation. Looking at sterling against the euro, just nudging new lows again this morning, 115. So we're going lower there as well. And if we look at against the Swiss franc, 123.33, not so good if you're skiing in Switzerland. And then if we look at the sterling Australian rate, we just see here the Australian dollar is weakening, sterling is strengthening just slightly against the Aussie, but again, the trends are pretty much down, so we expect this to be short-lived. The S&P 500 closed down a few points overnight, but really it hasn't changed very much. We've still got these upside targets of around 4%. 2460s is the level, so that's a good sort of 130 points from here, 100 points from here. So at the moment we're just pulling back. Nasdaq much the same, just going sideways. It was up slightly overnight, but we're just in this range at the moment. US markets are just in a bit of a tight range. Dow's just deteriorating slightly. A shortage of new upside targets there, and the Russell is actually falling. So the broader market we're seeing falling back. The futures are up very slightly this morning, so no signs that the US is going to open lower on both the Nasdaq E-mini and the S&P future. FTSE is down just almost under 0.5%. We are holding the bullish position at the moment, but we're just pulling back. FTSE 250 also down 0.25%. So no real big changes there. Bullish above all three clouds, and the DAX also bullish above all three clouds as well. Nikkei, with that weakening yen, strengthening dollar, the Nikkei is just showing a bit of strength. Hang Seng was down over 1% last night. That's put it into short-term bearish territory. And the Shanghai market is back below the cloud on the short term as well. So we still have a little bit of work to do in China to get out of this long-term bearishness. So that's just quite key. The Sensex was up very, very slightly and is bullish above the cloud on all three time frames. And the Aussie market down slightly, down 1/3%. Brent is really just struggling. It's below the cloud at $53. We've broken really out of this range. We're starting to break lower. Extremely unusual at this time of year. We would normally expect Brent to be stronger. That's showing some inherent weakness at the moment. And we really are just coming out of that range, which is really quite unusual at this time of year. So we're breaking to the bottom of the range. We're not quite out of it yet, but the key thing will be, will we go lower? But that's negating quite a few upside targets on the short-term chart, and it's interesting that we've still got these longer-term targets, but we're now just breaking lower. 48.94 is a target there, and 48.20. So it's conceivable that Brent will go below this $50 mark. We just need to keep an eye on how the targets build off this short-term chart. WTI also has fallen quite heavily yesterday, so we're seeing just crude really coming off there. Nat gas is above the cloud on the short term, but below on the medium term, and quite volatile as well. Taking a look at gold, we're down again at 1204. 1200 is the level we're going to watch. Will we hold that level? No clear downside targets here, and we need to really get it back above the 1220s on this cloud over the next day or two to start getting back into bullish territory. So it will be interesting to see how we close the week out there. Silver also looking a bit lower as well, and we do have a downside target of 1648, which is still 4% below where we are. US bonds just ticking that touch higher at 2.57. We really are just in this bullish trend. Bond yields, Treasury 10-year yields looking pretty bullish all around. So that's interesting. And Apple was down very slightly overnight. We see here on the short-term cloud that we're still holding that position. Google is above the cloud on all three. Amazon still holding its bullishness. Facebook nudging new highs, just holding on to that. The one we've got targets here to the 140s. 141 looks likely, and Microsoft back into bullish territory here as well. And Nvidia, one I keep watching because I sold it, is just still below the cloud and bearish. But we do have a new upside target creeping in, but quite a lot of downside targets to fight there. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.